So now with that starting project up and running, you'll find a couple of files and folders in that project folder. For example, you'll find an index.html file in that folder. But if you open that file, you'll see that it's pretty empty though. It only contains some basic markup, but it definitely does not contain the HTML code that's responsible for displaying the content we're seeing on the screen. The image, the title, and so on. And the reason for that, of course, is that React is rendering this content on the screen, that React is responsible for bringing something onto the screen. And we can see in that index.html file that it does indeed load a JavaScript file. It includes this index.jsx file. Now let's ignore that strange extension .jsx for now, and instead take a look at that file. As we can see here, we find it in this src, this source folder, and if we open it, we do indeed find some JavaScript code in that file. But we still don't see anything that seems to be related to that image or title we're seeing on the website. Instead, besides other things, which we will explore later, this file imports something from the app.jsx file. And this file finally does contain the markup for the content we're seeing on the screen. Though this file actually contains code that might be a bit confusing if you take a closer look, because it seems to contain HTML code inside of a JavaScript function, so inside of JavaScript code. And it also got this strange extension .jsx. Well, this file, as well as the index.jsx file, has this extension because it is a JavaScript file that uses non-standard JavaScript syntax. To be precise, it uses a JavaScript syntax extension called JSX, which conveniently simply stands for JavaScript Syntax Extension. And this extension allows developers to describe and create HTML elements by writing HTML markup code inside of JavaScript files. And since React will be about describing and creating user interfaces and parts of user interfaces, this is a very useful feature. But whilst it is a nice feature and therefore used in basically all React projects, and also many non-React projects, it is a feature that's not supported by browsers. So the code you see in the index.jsx and app.jsx files would not work in browsers. Instead, the code you write as a React developer is transformed behind the scenes by the development server, in this case here, before it reaches the browser. It's transformed to code that does work in the browser. But as a developer, thanks to this JSX extension, you have this more convenient way of describing the user interface. But what's really important about this app.jsx file is that what we can see here is a React component. It is such a component I mentioned in previous lectures. And as you can see in React, a component is really just a JavaScript function. Though in order to be recognized and used as a component by React, it's a function that must follow two important rules. The function name must start with an uppercase character, and the function must return a renderable value, typically the to-be-rendered HTML markup. So this JSX code you see here. And that's really all. This is how components are created in React. You create a regular JavaScript function, give it a suitable name that starts with an uppercase character, and return some JSX code. And with that, let's now finally create our first custom component.